All right. And we are live. Good morning, good evening, good afternoon. It's your girl here. And this is another episode of Meet the Clinician Live. Y'all miss me? It's been a minute. It has been a minute since I've been on. And I'm kind of thinking this may be the last episode of season 1. All right. So I'm so happy and so thrilled with our guest that we have this evening. Let me go on and give her a good introduction. All right. So good evening, everybody, and welcome to another Meet the Clinician. I'm Larnika Lavas, LPC supervisor, and I'm excited that you all are joining us tonight. If this is your first time tuning in to Meet the Clinician, this is an opportunity for us to go beyond the credentials and really get to know the people who are doing the work in the mental health field, their journeys, their passions, the populations they serve, and what keeps them connected to this work. And tonight, I'm excited to welcome Trina Rose Frazier, licensed professional counselor and CEO of the Rose Center PLLC. Okay. Trina brings a really interesting and diverse background to the mental health field. She is an Army veteran and former educator, and her professional experience has included working with mental health crisis teams, as well as providing therapy in correctional settings. She founded the Rose Center in 2020, right in the middle of the pandemic, and she has continued working to increase mental health awareness and made mental health awareness more accessible within the community. Hold on, I don't know who this is. Okay, so tonight we're going to talk about her journey into counseling and what she's passionate about as a clinician, mental health stigma, self-care, and some of the lessons she has learned along the way. So if you're watching us live on Facebook,
Hey y'all.
or LinkedIn, say hello in the comments and let us know where you're watching us from. And feel free to share the live. Trina, I'm so glad to have you here. Welcome, welcome, welcome.
Thank you.
It's funny how we have been in outreach spaces. If I'm somewhere, I see you've been there or we're there together. And so I've had an opportunity to follow some of your work via social media. And you are doing such an awesome job. And so we do truly appreciate you joining us tonight.
Mhm.
Definitely. So
Thank
how
you.
are you? How's it going? How you feeling?
It's going. I feel good. I'm just happy to be here. It's been a while since I've done a podcast, so this feels pretty cool.
Awesome. We do appreciate you. All right, so we're gonna go on and get started. All right, so first question, tell us about your journey into mental health. Like what inspired you to become a therapist and how has your experience as an educator in Army, like how's all these great things that you have done, how has that inspired you to become a therapist?
So what I will say is it definitely was a plethora of things that kind of came together, if you will. I
Okay.
don't know if you think like Optimus Prime or something, but everything just kind of came together. And so I will say that honestly, my life, my experiences, I didn't know why I was going through the stuff I was going through then. But when you reflect on it, you realize, oh, okay. So um I essentially found myself drawn to learning more about people.
Okay.
And in our community, I really didn't know, what a therapist was or anything like that coming up. But I was definitely drawn to understanding why we do what we do. So
Yeah.
I started off as a computer engineer major,
Oh,
actually.
okay.
I
Nice.
know, right?
Mhm.
But I quickly realized that I didn't want to build circuits or do anything like that. I wasn't interested in any of that. And so what turned me was psychology 1301.
Mm.
Now, a fun fact, I actually took psychology 1301 twice,
Okay.
which
Okay.
means I was unsuccessful the first time
Yeah. It
because I
happened.
slept every day. That was a very different time in my life. Very young, in college, and then found out I was with child, actually, my oldest. And so
Okay.
this is me working overnight and going to school right after that in the morning and trying to stay up. And that's what I was trying to do. So needless to say, that wasn't the road to success. So when I came back to school, because I actually took a pause after I had the kiddo. So I come back to school and I realized I have to take that again, obviously. But it was so fun and so interesting and so everything.
Yeah.
1301, they just touch everything. So I was just inclined to learn more, and that's what really got me on the path to actually becoming a therapist. It's just this whole ideal of I would love to know why people do what they do, why we do what we do. But I graduated,
Mm-hmm.
I got my master's, and then it was now what?
Yeah.
So I'd applied for a job, was waiting on my background checks and everything to come through. I was going to work for the federal bureau, and it just was taking way too long. And I'm like, what could possibly be there? I've been everywhere, Army, everything, and there's nothing there. And so because it took so long, that didn't work out. And so I started teaching.
Okay.
I said I would never teach, but I started teaching. I had a
Yes.
close friend remind me of that, right? You said never, but enjoyed it, loved it, loved it, loved it. And the knowledge that I gained, because my master's is in juvenile forensic psychology. So I studied from
Nice.
birth to death, but we focused on, the juvenile. So when I worked in schools, that knowledge came into play because I felt like I better understood them, and they felt in the ways that they expressed better understood by me. So it
Yeah.
actually helped me in that space as a coach, as a sponsor, as a teacher. I taught science, but I jumped
Okay.
around a lot. So I taught 6th and 7th grade science. I taught 9th grade science. I taught 5th
Mm-hmm.
grade. I tutored 4th grade. I did all of these things. I coached basketball,
Wow.
coached dance and cheer, just doing all of these things. And then at some point, that space got so uncomfortable for me that I had to leave. When I say
Yeah.
space, the education space.
Uh-huh.
So I started teaching at one of the community colleges. I taught psychology 1301, but then I started working for Spindletop.
Okay.
So it was like, okay, so now you back in mental health. Now you're back in the field. And so working at Spindletop, I was a part of the crisis team. So we would do the hospitals, the jails, anywhere in the community, to be honest. If it happened on Waco,
Mm-hmm.
there, because that's what we were about in the community. And as I
Yeah.
continued to do that, it was always just like, they like, Trina, when you go take your test? When you go take this test, oh, I'll take it. And so I just kept putting it off. And I finally took it, passed it. Worked for UTMB CMC.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not new to corrections. I'd already been a correctional officer before. So the experience wasn't really, wasn't
Yeah.
that big of a deal to me. I just went back into capacity as a therapist. So I worked out there. I also was a therapist at the county jail at Jefferson County.
Mm-hmm.
So I was doing that for 6 months straight. I worked 7 days a week. So I was 5
Oh,
days at the
wow.
prison, 2 days at Jefferson County. And then finally, I just stopped Jefferson County, finished up at the prison, and I launched my practice April of 2020.
Okay.
2 days
Okay.
after the pandemic. Start like 2 months, after the pandemic, the onset of the pandemic. And honestly, it was a similar feeling that I had when I was still teaching, where things were getting so uncomfortable. And I'm not going to act like I don't follow doctrine and that I'm not a spiritual person. And so this was definitely a conversation that God was having with me that I was ignoring.
Yeah.
When I was in the school situation, I was at Beaumont ISD and Port Arthur ISD in the same year. That was my
Oh,
last year
wow.
teaching. It
Okay.
was like, what are you doing? And it got so uncomfortable that it was like, okay, it's been time for you to go. Just transition back into the field where you're supposed to be. Then when
Mm-hmm.
I'm at the prison, same difference. It got so uncomfortable in the space that I do. I'm comfortable in this space. I take care of my business or whatever, but it got so uncomfortable that it was like, you need to move. So I said, all
Yeah.
right, well, I'm gonna do something that people probably think is crazy, as they say. I'm gonna start my practice during the pandemic. And
Mm-hmm.
so I did everything myself because I didn't know other people could do these things. So, going through the credentialing, the establishing the EI, all of that, did all of that. It happened
Yeah.
so fast. It's like within 24
Mm-hmm.
hours, I had an LLC, well, PLLC. And I was like, wow. right?
Okay.
So yeah, that was the journey. I hope that answered the question. I mean, I didn't go into all my
Yes.
trauma or anything, but a
No,
little bit
you
too.
did good. It seems like when there's like some, I don't know, some difficult circumstances, that's when things can truly bloom. Because I actually started my practice. I got all the paperwork and all the stuff done. I had some friends to help me, but mine was right after Harvey.
Oof.
Right after Harvey, and we were displaced. I was working for a nonprofit. We were displaced, and some friends helped me out with it. And I was like, okay. And I sat on it for a minute until I actually left. And I had done so much outreach after Harvey, like, hey, I have this trauma. Well, it was at the time, it was just a grief support group. And we were connecting that trauma from Harvey to grief, and I was going out trying to get people to come and out speaking and being at stuff that we are at now, those types of things, doing that then. And it wasn't until I actually left the nonprofit and went back into education, here the people looking for me. And it's like, oh man, I don't have an office. I guess I'm gonna have to use what I had been sitting on all this time. So I think
Yeah.
that's good. That is good. And I don't know about you, the pandemic helped me out, with the virtual therapy.
The biggest issue that I had was me, because I was technically an empty nester at some point, because my oldest graduated in 2020.
Okay.
So like it was just like the world was my oyster, you know what I'm saying? So I was just like, okay, I can do this. But I also didn't have kids to tend to, so I worked a lot. And then one day I used to work 7 days a week because I felt like people needed us. I was like, they
Okay.
need people to talk to. If people need
Wow.
outlets. So I worked 7 days a week. And so I ended up getting COVID leave from the prison, from UTMB,
Okay.
because I had a kid. So they had created COVID leave where you could take 2 weeks off to make sure everything's okay. So that's what I did.
Nice. Okay.
But
Okay.
I am a stickler to a certain extent when it comes to following rules and laws. I tend to be a little, so I did not work during the days that I would normally work at the prison. I didn't work during that time
Okay.
period. So I would
Uh-huh.
only see people 5:30 to 8:30 in that block, because I don't know. I feel like they're supposed to be against the law for you to be off on leave, getting paid from one job and working another one. I
Yeah.
don't know. Again, that's me. So
Uh-huh.
overthinking it. But then once I stopped working for them, Monday through Sunday, I'm seeing people.
Wow.
One
Yeah.
week, it was Mother's Day week, I saw approximately 58 people, something like that.
Oh
And I
wow.
remember, matter of fact, it was that about that many in 6 days, because it was Mother's Day. So I
Mm.
decided to, and my brain felt like gummy, like just mush. And I
Yeah.
said, well, we're not doing that again.
Yeah.
So it was really me learning how to manage myself. We talk about all the bosses that we've had and how horrible they may have been, and then you
Yeah.
become your own worst boss. You know what I'm saying?
That part don't give you
So,
some off days. Uh-huh.
so the pandemic did help me, in a sense that it helped me to get myself established. I did some workshops and everything. It was really cool, but it also slowed things down enough for me being very green to figure, some things out. And I did have some people that will show me, altruism big time, like helping me kind of figure some things out and everything. Um, but by the time the world opened back up, we was established, it was just
That
everything
part.
is already in place.
Mm-hmm. That part. So it was unfortunately, that situation, but many blessings came out of it. Indeed, it did. All right, well, cool. So, as a clinician, what are you most passionate about? Like, what group do you, enjoy working with, or a certain section? Like, what's your thing?
Okay. That's a hard question, I will
Okay.
say. Um I think that the people that have been drawn to me, because I think they kind of pick your niche, picks you, so to
Yeah.
speak.
Yeah.
And so I know that it changes. You know what I'm saying? From time to time, I've been in private practice. Next year to make 7.
Okay.
And so I used to have a lot of clients that did not look like me.
Mm-hmm.
But part of my reason for entering this field and opening my private practice was so that clients that look like me can see someone that looks like them.
Yeah.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
And at first, it was a lot of people that didn't look like me, and it's okay. I value all of my clients, but I
Yeah.
am appreciative that a majority of my clients do look like me, simply because they have decided that they find me as a comfortable space,
Mm-hmm.
And so, high achieving African American / Black women,
Mm-hmm.
I've been running across a lot of them. Very strong women, like
Okay.
and then anxiety. That would
Yeah.
probably be the top, but that's the most prevalent disorder across age, span, so lifespan. So but anxiety, yeah, absolutely. Anxiety. That, and like I say, high achieving, I think Black women that may be misunderstood, may be taken as misunderstood because of their approach. They may have strong personalities and stuff like that. So, and these are all
Mm-hmm.
things that I've experienced or have been described to have. So I think that because of my experience with working through some things myself and better understanding myself, helps me to help other people to go on their journey to
Definitely.
understand themselves. So I would say maybe that those two populations.
Okay. Okay. It's something like you said. Your niche will find you. I have this conversation with other healers from time to time when we experience things. I feel like it helps us to help others, like it draw us to where we need to be, or draw people to us who are experiencing what we have experienced. And I know that people say, well, you don't have to have gone through things to help people, but it's just something about what you go through, and you get on the other side of it, and it seemed like people show up, clients show up, even at school the kids show up with some stuff, and it's like, wow, okay, I experienced this, and so the lessons that I have learned, things that have worked for me, I introduce those things to them and see how it works. But the language, I think, because I can speak the language of someone who has gone through anxiety, who has experienced trauma, who has experienced illness, all these different things. If I have someone that comes in and they're dealing with it, that makes that connection, that
Yeah.
truly makes that connection possible. Because, oh, I do understand. Trust me, I've had,
Yeah.
my own dealings with these particular things.
Yeah. And to be very clear, I hold space for all my clients because I'm able to keep a line. Like, I don't know what it is about it. Some people try to say it's the military, which, to be honest with you, okay, it could be my upbringing, but I don't have a problem with being able to respect the line where I end and my client begins. So if they bring
Yeah.
something that I haven't dealt with, because I'm gonna be very clear to anyone who is listening, I don't want to
Mhm.
go through everything that all of y'all went through
That
at
part.
all. I will take your word for it. But for the
That
things that I
way.
have gone through, my
Mhm.
way of taking the power back from those things that were sent to destroy me is to learn from it. And it's a bonus if I can assist someone else
Yeah.
on top of it. It's like the cherry on top. But at the same time, it's like, when you talk about addictive challenges and dependency, we know as professionals that with that population, a lot of
Mhm.
the success comes from individuals who have walked that walk,
Mhm.
because there are some things that you just will not understand when it comes to, and that's definitely one of my, listen, I will take your word for it, but
Yeah.
you really sometimes, it's not to say that it's required,
Yeah.
but I'm
No.
also not gonna say that in some instances it doesn't help. I'll
Mhm.
just say that I'll paraphrase what one of my professors told me at Lamar. When I went back to Lamar after I got my master's, I did some supplemental classes. And I remember, it's so funny. Like, I went and did supplemental classes. So I'm in there, they're working on their master's. I already have my master's, but that was an absolutely needed time when I
Yeah.
reflect, because I got so much out of that little semester getting those supplemental classes. She said,
Okay.
you take care of your stuff. Because if
Mhm.
you don't take care of your stuff before you try to help other people with their stuff, your stuff is going to walk through your door every day. So
That
whatever
part.
issues you have, you need to get them taken care of. Otherwise, it's gonna show up, right? And so that's what I'm saying. Like, even if you've been through it, it's fine and it can be beneficial, but you make sure you take care of your stuff. And that's how you go help them. Because we don't both need to be in the office triggered.
Okay.
You know what I'm saying? So it's like,
Therefore,
at the end of the day, I do believe that part of the most healing things for me has been that I took the time to try to learn from what I'd experienced and try to not necessarily make sense of it. Because I'm not trying to rationalize some of the stuff that happened to me. But I do believe you can glean some of the power that it took attempted to take from you. Can glean that from it when you learn from it and you apply what you learned. And then this is the profession that called me. Now I look back on some of those things. And I'm not saying that that was what it was designed for, but I'm saying that my higher power found a way to make it work for my good, which is what I was promised. So that's how I look at it.
Yeah. All right. Yes, indeed. Indeed. In having these talks with different clinicians, the one thing that seems to resound with everyone is, therapists need therapy too. And so make certain that you have done what you need to do for you, for sure, because like you said, it'll show up. It'll come back. It'll come back around. It will indeed. It will indeed. Okay, so good. All right, so the next question, it says your professional journey, in your journey working with the crisis team and providing therapy in correctional settings, what has this experience taught you, and how has that influenced how you run your practice, how things are set?
You say working with the crisis team? Like, how is that affecting my practice?
Yes, with your experiences working with these other entities, how has that affected you as what you see, and how you run your practice?
So, when it comes to the setup of my office, I consider the clients, so it's very inviting. They always love the smell that I have. So I always make sure it smells good. Pillows, you know what I'm saying? Just the works, multiple options for seating, because I want you to feel like you have a choice. You know what I'm saying? So I have multiple options for seating, different textures. I try to, make sure that it's not cold. I don't want it to look like a doctor's office. That's one of the things our clients have, complimented me on, is that I try to make the office feel warm. And so I remember I had one office where I knew it would work for therapy because I'd visited a therapist there before. So I knew it would work for therapy when I walked in it. And it's so interesting because I really needed an office at the time. And I walked in, and immediately when we were walking down the hall, I said, "Oh, I know this gonna work. I done been here before." So I get it set up, but it had one of those picturesque windows where you can't necessarily see in that office, but we can see out.
Okay,
right?
nice.
And so with the way that I situated the client's couch, you could never see them in there anyway. And so I used to have the light on in the waiting room, but it was like the floor, the typical drop ceiling fluorescent lights, I guess you would say. But my therapy room is always low light, very warm, very chill. It's not so operator roomish. And I remember at one point I started turning that light in the waiting room off as well, because I have lamps. And my clients was like, "Okay, see, this feels more welcoming and comfortable and less like an exam room." And I was like, okay. So that's the vibe. I rarely ever touch the big lights. I set the tone. I have a little oil lamp that's, saying I play music. And to each his own. If anybody happens to be listening, hopefully your audience is not any of those people. If they are, fine. They say things, "Oh, you shouldn't play this." I play.
You do what
soul instrumentals.
Okay.
It's a vibe. They come in, they relax. As we've grown, I've added things like I do snacks and beverages. I tell them, if you're allergic to it outside this office, you're allergic to it in here. Okay. Don't be testing it out because
Yeah.
okay. And had a discussion with them about liability, but I do have those things. In the actual therapy room, there's a table that sits in front of them, and I have all things for them. There are stress balls, there are fidgets, all in a basket under the table. We have coloring books, but it's under the table. So if they want to, it's one of those tables that has kind of like a base. If they
Okay.
want to, they can always grab those things. So I make sure they have those things for themselves. They also have a clipboard with writing paper and a pen. They have drawing paper because sometimes we do art therapy, and they
Oh,
have
nice.
sanitizer, art supplies, and then I have a flip chart that sits there for some of the most commonly used handouts. All of that
Oh,
is for them, just so that they have whatever they need, right? Now they
yeah.
laugh because I also have these little wooden stand, like small things with a fillings wheel, and then another one that differentiates what we control and what we don't control. That sits on there, and they just be like, I know, so those are the two concepts that I think people confuse the most. We always try to
Okay.
control things that we don't control, and we
Yeah.
spend less time actually working on what we do control. It's a lot of outward, and then we also have a hard time, I think, expressing our feelings or identifying feelings that are a little bit more specific, as opposed
Yeah.
to those, the typical, I'm either mad or not, I'm either, whatever. And so that's their table, because these are things that, one, it's for them if we're doing anything, but two, sometimes people want to take notes and stuff like that.
Yeah.
I also bought them a Kindle. So there's a Kindle that they use, like if we're looking at handouts, or if I show them a short video that they can look at. So they have that.
Okay.
And so I'm saying I collected all of this along the way, because it was like, how can you make a person feel comfortable? When I worked in crisis, I was seeing people in jail. Sometimes they would be in what they affectionately call the pickle suit. So
Uh-oh.
demeaning. That is the mental health suit that they wear. It's like a protective vest, because you can't harm yourself typically in it. So when people are on mental health holds, that's what they put them in. So, but that's what they
Okay.
call them. You understand what I'm saying? So it's there's no privacy. We did the best that we could, and that's rightfully so, that it's not as much privacy in correctional spaces because of the things that have happened, or the thing, the nature of the
Yeah.
space. But it is, so they don't even get the privacy that they could get in that space. So it's like, how can you make it to where these people feel comfortable? So of course the white noise machine and stuff like that, but the other thing is how bright and just loud. So in the hospital rooms,
Yeah.
everybody know why they there. It's so the nurses know, the this, to that. So it's like there's no privacy, there's no feeling of, just, I feel like it's more of a spectacle than being seen. Like I want them to
Yeah.
feel seen, not like spotlighted or accosted. You know what I'm saying? And I have worked in a lot of spaces where there were a lot of restrictions, from, like I say, the prisons, the jail.
Yeah.
My internship I did in Tomball, Texas, was Good Shepherd Residential Treatment Center for kids, and so it was young men. The youngest young person I did intake on was 8 years old. He'd already attempted to complete suicide before.
Wow.
Some of the kids were in CPS custody, but also on juvenile probation. So about, just, it's just like, so it's been a lot of restrictions. I want my clients to feel free. I am
Yeah.
not accosting you. I am not, I want you to feel comfortable. I tell them, I want you to feel comfortable in your discomfort, because it's not going to
Yeah.
always be comfortable in here. You're not going to always like what we're talking about. But any way I can help you to be comfortable in your discomfort, that's what I'm aiming to do. So just treating people like human beings. You know what
Yeah.
I'm saying? That's one of the things I learned along the way, of nothing else that's been a thread. Treat people like human beings. And in the prison space, unless they clowned, because I'm not
Okay.
soft by any
Okay.
means. So if they clowned, okay. But other than that, I'm gonna respect you, because I'm not the
Yeah.
judge or jury. I didn't vote for you to get here. I didn't put you here. Um, I didn't do, if you did anything to me or my people, I wouldn't even be seeing you. So it's like, I don't have time to continue to try to be the punisher for people every time I see them. If you coming in talking about something that you did that was horrible, I'm not here to judge you, because judgment stops you from healing, because now you gotta, you know what I'm saying? So I want to give you a chance to say those things, to own them. We don't do excuses in my office, but we do explanations that which helps with understanding, you know? So it's just all about creating a space for any client to feel comfortable, which is why I give them a lot of options.
That's good. That's really good. Yeah. How your experience allowed you to be able to shape that space that you felt was, conducive to helping them feel comfortable and feel safe to be able to go through this healing journey. That's for sure. I miss having an office at times. When I got my office, like I had when I left the nonprofit, I was kind of getting places. I had a friend had a clothing store. I was in the back office seeing people. And then when I actually found an office space for me, it was about a month before COVID lockdown. Like it was February. I remember that President's Day sale, got some furniture. All my furniture hadn't even made it in yet. So I saw people a little bit. Even afterwards, they were slowly trickling in because they enjoyed the virtual. And so sometimes I'm a little like, oh man, I wish, but I would not trade necessarily my opinion, this aspect of it, because the way my life is set up, this works best. But when retirement years come in, I truly want to be able to have a space so I can create it and have that kind of atmosphere and things. I think that would be pretty cool.
Yeah.
Definitely. So let me ask you this. I know when we're in school, we're taught certain things and, mental health and people and how we should do things and not. What have you learned in your experience since, being in school and they're, telling us, because, we learn things and then we experience things.
Yeah.
And so thus far, what has your experience taught you about mental health that maybe the school, didn't prepare you for?
Oh, let's see. Because there's an answer to this. I just want to.
Hey, take your time, my sister.
I just want to consider, because it's one of those things where school is kind of 2D. Yeah. And then when you're in practice, it's more 3D, dare I say 4D, like you get all the dimensions. And so it's just like I tell my clients, like in this space, you're probably going to win often because this is a controlled environment. So I'm going to say this, you go say that, I'll say, you know what I'm saying? But that's why I love CBT, because CBT is practical. Like you go try that out there and come back and tell me how it went, because you need to figure out if it's going to work out there. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. And so I think that that's kind of the vibe. I mean, I'm not going to lie. Some of my classes were amazing because if you're in this program, especially graduate level, you get real. Like you talking, like we talking. We have to do confidentiality in the class. Like don't tell, because it gets real in there sometimes. You know what I mean? But I honestly, I don't think anything truly prepares you for just getting past like that first client. Like that, and just believing that you can do this. Like you've practiced and you've had people maybe supervising you as an intern, but like now you are out there and you are doing it. The other thing is when I graduated, which is so weird that it feels like that was so long ago, because it kind of was, we were told you need to pick a school of thought that you align with, and you need to stick with that. And I had interns last semester, and I remember they were having to write their philosophy or whatever, and they were saying that one of their professors told them that it's best that they pick one.
Yeah, that's what they tell us.
Yeah, I'm gonna be honest with you. No. I'm an eclectic person. My approach is eclectic, but I tell all my clients I start with CBT because CBT to me, I like it. Some people say it's boring. I said, not mine. My clients, it ain't boring. And if you can make a client laugh during a session, baby, and I'm not even trying, especially if they've been crying. You know what I'm saying? So my CBT is not boring, but the fact is, it's practical, and I'm a practical person. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And so it's like, but I also am trained in EMDR. You know, I'm trained in
Okay,
DBT.
cool.
DBT is a derivative of CBT, but it's still different. You know, I'm trained in
Mhm.
brain spotting. You know, I've taken trainings on motivational interviewing and stuff. I think it's important for you to have different approaches for different people. And so
Yeah.
some of these schools of thought to me are more like interventions. Sometimes we do
Mhm.
psychodynamic things. We may do free association, but ultimately that's all for us to understand how your thoughts are being derived, how they're affecting how you feel and how it's affecting what you do. You know what I'm saying?
Mhm.
So I think that at some point they tried to kind of box us in. And
Yeah.
to be honest with you, I was dual tracked when I was in grad school. But they told us to go ahead and pick one. And so I picked externship because I knew I wanted to practice. I wanted to work in a community.
Uh-huh.
But the thing is, it's like, I think that they tell you that to simplify because you're in class. Like, how am I gonna assess how well you are if I can't figure out where you're at? But once you get
Yeah.
out on your own, you can pick whatever trainings you want. You can, build up whatever knowledge. You can do whatever you want. You do not have to lock yourself in. Because as I'm
Mhm.
thinking about it right now, I'm getting tense because I remember being in class being told, do it as if you were following Glasser, or the reality
Yeah.
therapy. And you just like,
Mhm.
it don't even feel natural to me to do it like that. You know what I'm saying? So you will create
Mhm.
your own approach, So at this point, I have Trina's approach. That's the
Okay.
approach. That's the school of thought I have because that's one of the biggest things I think. It's just that you don't have to be confined, but you do need to be competent. We ain't
That
saying
part.
just get out there and just be doing all the most. But if you are competent and you are studied and you are trained, do your thing. Whatever that
Mhm.
looks like to you, you know?
Awesome. Yes. Yes, indeed. You're gonna find your niche in everything. You're gonna find what's gonna work best for you and your clients. Definitely. Now tell me this. You know, you can kind of look on TV, watch a show. Somebody may talk about mental health. Somebody might be in therapy. Some songs nowadays they may be talking about therapy. I know Megan Thee Stallion is talking about her anxiety and all those. And I could appreciate her coming out with that song for that. Even the conversation with people, before, and it's still, to each his own, but the confidentiality, they want to keep it a secret. Don't let anybody know you're in therapy, and that's a person's choice. But
Mm-hmm.
people talk about it more now. People will say, I got to go to therapy. I need to talk to my therapist, or even I need to take my medication because they might be stressed and using it as an example of, child, I ain't medicated today, so y'all better watch, those
Mm-hmm.
kinds of things. But even with, I guess, pop culture, and it's somewhat of a social norm for therapy and mental health, why do you think there is still a stigma? Because with everything that you might see out there and the music and stuff, people still, when you mention mental health, there's a cringe. Not me, I'm gone. That's not me, I'm all right. That
Yeah.
kind of thing. Why do you think that stigma is still there, and what can we do to try to help break it?
So, one, I think the stigma is still there because it's safe for some people. If I
Okay.
embrace that this is a thing, then I have to embrace what I'm going through, you know.
Mhm.
And that can be scary for some people. If I admit that something, I understand that you are dealing with mental struggles and I see myself in you, I have to admit that I deal with mental struggles and I don't have time for that. I
Okay.
think that ultimately some people truly feel like they don't have time for that. But the thing is, you and I both know that I tell my clients it's kind of like a jack in the box. After a while, I say the joy of a jack in the box toy is that you never know when it's gonna pop up, but
Yeah.
eventually it is. And it's very jarring, unexpected, and you got to deal with it. But I think that if I acknowledge that you have something going on with you and I validate that, then I have to
Mhm.
take a look at myself. I think that some people don't understand. They used to call us shrinks,
Yeah.
you know. Talking about
Uh-huh.
shrinking the mind, and that
Yeah.
don't even sound comfortable. You know what I'm saying? Like, what is happening there? So you can just think about the way that they used to describe us. But I appreciate the ancestry that we have when you go way back and realize that healers have been healers and people have been talking, and that's why I'm not quiet about mine. I'm gonna protect
Mm-hmm.
my clients' business, but I am who I am, so I don't. I'm a therapist. It is what it is, and I don't think we should be like covert, but I let people do what they do, like you said,
Yeah.
because of the stigma. And so the thing is, one, I have to admit that something's wrong with me, or two, I have to admit that something's wrong with my loved one, and we think that that's a reflection of us. Or I have to admit that something may be troubling my child, and that's my child. So now it's like, ain't nothing wrong with them. Why? Because if
Yeah.
something wrong with them, it's something wrong with me. No, it's not. You know what I'm saying? I think that, as a culture, we have been lied on, lied to, and mistreated, and some of the things that were supposed to be confidential have been used against
Mm-hmm.
us. So why would I be
Mm-hmm.
comfortable with giving you the ammo? And that
Yeah.
has happened to us when we trusted people. We're supposed to trust them. You know what I'm saying? So it's like, I think also it's about the reception. I mean, Lanika, we could talk about that stigma all
Yeah.
day. But the fact is,
Mm-hmm.
it's like, what happened after a person opened up though?
That part.
You see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like, how was it received? Did they get help? Did they get
Mm-hmm.
ridiculed? Did they get put down? Did they get called all kind of derogative terms? Because if that's the case, then yeah, that didn't help my mental health. So I'm going to go ahead and zip up. You know what I'm
Yeah, I
saying?
ain't saying
It got
nothing.
worse.
Mm-hmm.
So I think that a lot of it is fear. I think
Mm-hmm.
there's disrespect. You know what I'm saying? Nobody wants to consider it. I think that some people really don't have access, so if I consider it and I can't do nothing about it, what's the point? So it's just a lot of different things, you know what I'm saying? Pride,
Yeah.
ego,
All
misunderstandings,
of it. Mm-hmm.
toxicity. Oh, baby. I've had clients that told me they parents were angry with them because they were going to therapy, and mothers that are like,
Wow.
you still doing that therapy thing? It's
Yeah.
like, you know what I'm
Mm.
saying? So it's all about people's fear of what? Fill in the blank.
That part. That part indeed. I hear you. I hear you. Historically, yeah, you said something was going on, they would lock you up and do all kind of tests on you. And nobody wants to have to deal with that. So people would
Yeah.
keep the loved ones in the back room. It's like, we know something going on, but we're gonna put them back here. We ain't gonna
Or the
say nothing
basement.
because we
Yes,
don't want nobody
exactly.
to come take them or do anything like that. For sure, for sure. All righty. So tell me about pop psych. Tell me about pop psych. What is pop psych?
So, the Pop Psych Foundation is a nonprofit that I founded. It started off as a merchandise company in
Okay.
2022, May of
Hmm.
2022, because I wasn't in a position to do what I typically do during that month. And so I still wanted to do something to honor Mental Health Awareness Month. So
Okay.
I created it. It's a play on the words popular in psychology. It's
Hmm.
not really more so like pop culture, which I think somebody thought. It's more about making mental health popular. So that was the
Nice.
mantra, making mental health
Okay.
popular. And so it basically graduated because it was about awareness. So I think that we plant seeds through fashion. We like to express ourselves.
Hmm.
And so if it's just a matter of planting a seed, however it gets watered is on them, but it's just planting the seed to keep it on people's minds. Because that's the whole point.
Yeah.
Like when you ask, how do we break the stigma? We're doing that. That's what I meant to tell you. You're
Hmm.
doing it by going
Yeah.
out and speaking and hosting podcasts, to have clinicians come on to essentially break that fourth wall or whatever, if you will, so they can see that we're
Yeah.
normal people just out here wanting to help
Hmm.
people, and you know um making sure that we keep it as a part of conversation and not just when it's tragedy. Because see, the
Yeah.
thing is, a lot of people think that people use mental health as an excuse, and I
Hmm.
understand why people feel that way. That's why I say we don't do excuses, we do explanations. But I
Yeah.
also remember a director telling me, because you got to understand, when you work in crisis, I saw one person probably 50 times in 1 year.
Wow.
Because the thing about crisis is uh, uh um crisis brings about the need for stabilization. It's not
Yeah.
necessarily treatment. Treatment is supposed to come after it. So if I stabilize this client, get them stabilized, but the treatment is either short-lived, ineffective, or they don't get it at all, then
Mm-hmm.
the chances of them going into crisis is very high.
Yeah.
Then you have some people that are dealing with comorbidity, so there's substance use and mental health disorders at bay. Then
Mm-hmm.
sometimes it's socioeconomic issues. So if you remember Maslow's hierarchy of needs, the base of the hierarchy is basic needs. So you got a lot of
Yeah.
people that don't have food, clothing, shelter, but if you're in a hospital, you do. So we would have
Mm-hmm.
some people that will walk out of the hospital after getting released, go walk right into the street. The police will say, hey, they was in the street, there's nothing I could do, bring them right back in, they get checked in. So
Yeah.
it's just a lot of those different things, that go on or whatever that, cause people to do it. But I think that just kind of coming back to the idea of pop psych, it was more so like now that we are aware, what we got the shirts. I'm going to pop-ups. That was my way in. Cause see, I'm
Yeah.
not gonna lie, Lanika, this is what I did. I have merch now. So I can get
Okay.
into all these community pop-ups where everybody's selling earrings and all of their clothes. But see, I have
Nice.
shirts and now I have the Rose Center. So I'm
Okay.
able to promote this and awareness, but I can also advertise the Rose Center, which is the counseling. So people will come see the merch, but they would talk to me and I could talk to them about counseling and
Yes.
the benefits. So
Awesome.
that's how I worked it. I was allowed in
Okay.
those rooms now because I had a reason to get into those rooms. And anytime I
Yeah.
had a chance to speak on the mic, I'm advocating for mental health. I'm advocating for the importance of it. I'm self-disclosing only enough for you to understand that I'm not perfect either, but I understand the benefits from my own experience, stuff like that. And
Yeah.
so we decided, and I say I feel like God put it on my heart to say, let's do more. And so that's when
Mm-hmm.
there came the advancement to the foundation, because we don't
Okay.
want to just make you aware. We want to help you with what you have become aware of. It's like, I know now what I'm supposed to do. And so we do
Yeah.
everything from educating people about their benefits. I'm always telling people, hey, you have EAP benefits you're not using. I believe that
Mm-hmm.
most of the population is maybe one decision away from a crisis. But if you can
Yeah.
get an intervention, sometimes it won't take much for most people. Most people don't need long-term therapy. They
Mm-hmm.
literally need someone to talk to stop them from whatever they headed on, or to help them brainstorm, or to listen to them, basically.
Yeah.
And so we at Pop Psych, one of the things we do is we still have merchandise and things like that, but we go to events, we speak, we attended a couple of the refinery health days. They had mental health days or wellness days is what
Okay.
they call it. So we go out there, share
Nice.
information. We have the merch, but we also do community events. Like we have our wellness fair coming up in September.
Okay.
And so that's gonna be where you have all kind of different providers, everything from personal trainers to nurse practitioners to local clinics, yoga instructors, stretch therapists, everything, infrared therapy. Like we want people to
Nice.
understand, why is this supposed to help me? You know what I'm
Mm-hmm.
saying? Why is stretching supposed to help my mental health? Well, we could talk to you
Yeah.
about it. You know what I'm saying? Um,
Nice.
and so we do that, but because everybody not gonna make it to our couch. That's just
Yeah.
what it is. I've accepted
Yeah.
that. But if
Mm-hmm.
we could do community events, you're reaching a lot of people in the same amount of time. If you can do workshops, I do workshops sometimes. You're reaching a group of
Mm-hmm.
people, and them people will go to other people, and those people, you know what I'm saying? So those are some of
Mm-hmm.
the ways. But some people do want to go to therapy, and we don't
Yeah.
want finances be the reason that you don't get a chance to talk to someone. So we
Mm-hmm.
raise funds to pay for therapy for people who can't afford it.
Awesome.
So we have a network that we've been building up with local therapists. Now, the way the network works is you're basically a referral for us, because if you're on the list, chances are we vetted you out. We understand that you are, an effective therapist, or at the least ethical. And so when our clients, well, they're not our clients, but when the people that are coming for services with us to get assistance with paying for therapy, when they come to us, we give them 3 to check out first. And then if they don't find anyone in that group, we try to help them, because one of the most daunting things for some people is finding a therapist. They don't want to go through it. They're uncomfortable. They're nervous. Some people, they don't even go to the doctor, much less trying to make a therapist appointment. You know what I'm saying? So we try to be the bridge. Literally, we are the bridge. So whether it's just someone who has insurance, has the money, but they just don't know where to start, we can help you. If it's someone that says, I would like to do therapy, but I don't have the money, we want to, help you. So that's what we do. But we definitely want to help people pay for it too.
That's what's up. That is a good part. Yes, that was always my philosophy. I don't want people to not come to therapy because of affordability or even accessibility. Being able, that's one way I can appreciate having a virtual platform, but then you have to consider if they don't have the access to technology, then what you gonna do? That part. That part indeed. I think that's pretty good. Pretty good. And I think if we all do our part as clinicians, because I know everybody don't do outreach. Everybody's not out there trying to do those things. But I think for those of us who are, if we just keep trying, keep advocating, keep doing the things that we can do to make people comfortable, even aware. Some people just don't know. You mean that's mental health? Like, yeah, we all have something. And it doesn't take an act of Congress to get an appointment. There's help out there for whatever you need. People are putting directories together and just in conversation, as you mentioned, having programs and different workshops and whatnot, or even being out there with your merch. People will see and know, like, hey, somebody mentioned you, or people on social media. I get tagged a lot. I need a Black therapist. Tag. I need somebody that see kids. Tag. I need somebody that have a sliding scale or whatever. Tag. And I can appreciate that, because sometimes I don't know these folks who tagging me and stuff. And a lot of times I don't even know I've been tagged. Somebody might call, hey, they tagged you, and they said XYZ. So that, getting the word out there, getting the message out there and advocating, I think that's a plus. That's a plus.
But one of the things I will say as well is, while we do ask, there is in our agreement, if a therapist is in a position where they can, we do ask about pro bono sessions, right? Like maybe 3 a month. And that's only because, again, we're trying to get people connected, but it's not required to be in the network. Some therapists in our community have actual pro bono programs they've put together themselves. They let us know about that, and we help them vet the individuals out who might benefit or be appropriate for the parameters that they have. Like if you had one that was for teen girls, 12 to 17. If we have a client that comes up, or someone that says, hey, I need help for my teen, we might be able to connect them with that therapist, and they can go through the vetting, the enrollment process with them, but they didn't know that even existed. So that's something that we've done. And then the other thing is, to be clear, pro bono, yes, because a part of it is us giving back. But we also want to take care of our therapists, because I'm a therapist. So that's why we're raising money. I don't need y'all continuing to see people who are not paying for it. They're not paying for it. You're not getting paid. I mean, some therapists don't even have insurance because you're working for yourself. So we're not doing that, which is why we have the money, and we're raising the money to pay our therapists so that they can give quality without stressing themselves. You know what I'm saying? So we do care for the therapist. I know I do. I'm the executive director. I absolutely created this with therapists in mind, because you have to take care of the healers. You have to, so that's one thing I will say. That is what it's about. We have parameters in place that provides the therapist with autonomy. So, if you sign up, you have a client, and that client wouldn't work for you if it was just you, then that's the same thing you do. You go treat it the same. If it's not a good fit, it's not a good fit. You know what I'm saying? Like, don't find yourself feeling like you locked into a client just because PopPsych is the financial backer for that client. You don't have to
Yeah.
do that to yourself. You know what I'm saying? So it's kind of like that situation. But no, we definitely try to take care of the therapist for sure as well. I'm a therapist. I know how it is.
I
You
know
know.
that's right. Well, that is good. Speaking of, so with all these hats you wear, all this great work that you're doing in the community, and you're helping people, and you're helping therapists, what does your self-care looks like? Like, what do you do for yourself to make certain you're not burned out from end to end?
Okay. So also things that I've learned along the way.
Okay.
Um, I currently have my schedule set up in a way that makes sense for me. So I do not
Okay.
work on Saturdays or Sundays, unless
Mhm.
Saturdays are typically for community events, stuff like that.
Yeah.
I see people as early, and my schedule has changed several times, but I see
Okay.
people as early as 9 a.m. It used to be
Okay.
11. Okay.
Okay.
And I see people up till start time 1. So I do not work between 2 and 4. I don't see people between 2 and 4 no day. That gives
Okay.
me a chance to give my brain a break, maybe grab a bite or just get out of the office, stretch my legs, do anything. And
Yeah.
then my next appointment is at 4:30. And I'll see
Okay.
people 4:30, 5:30, 6:30, 7:30. Sometimes I see people 4 in a row. But
Hmm.
those are it's like the blocks. So my scheduling blocks are 9 to 2 and 4:30 to 8:30. And that
Okay.
way I don't find myself overworking my brain. I found out 3 to 4 is the sweet spot of
Yeah.
in a row. If I do 2 and 2, oh, that's amazing. 2 sessions, break 2 sessions, that's
Yeah.
ideal. Um,
Uh-huh.
but I try to keep a certain average. So that's part of my self-care because I told you my brain was like mush. Okay. I learned you need to give your brain a
Oh
break.
yeah.
I did
Hmm.
that. I had Saturdays.
Hmm.
But Launica, you gotta know yourself. Launica, you gotta know yourself. You gotta know
Yes.
yourself.
Yes.
I get a little more annoyed if you late cancel a no show on a Saturday.
Yeah.
So I realized then take your Saturday back then, Trina, because you don't need that. So that's why I was like, nah, I'm not doing that. And then um typically, so my family, like my husband, like we go on vacation typically for our anniversary. That's gonna be towards the beginning of the year.
Okay.
Um, that started that was probably 2 3 years ago. 2 years
Okay.
ago we started that. But before that, definitely mid-year around my birthday in July, I would take
Okay.
off. I realized that's a good sweet spot to take off and to let my brain rest, and then I can finish out the rest of the year. Um Sometimes I will give myself Christmas to New Year off
Hmm.
at the end of the year, to give myself a break as well. So I do some type of end of the year break also, because first of all, it's sparse. I
Yeah.
mean, people not
Clients
really
not
knocking
coming
at
in like
the door
that.
to get in. When we start getting
Hmm.
expenses, we on the chopping block. Like, yeah, I'm gonna see her next year. She'll help me with everything that I'm dealing with right now in January, and I'm like,
Yeah.
gotcha. Um,
Hmm.
I Not on a daily, like the less glamorous things, if you will. I do work out often. It's not as much as I used to, but at least 3 to 4 times a week. So
Okay.
that's my therapy. I like to get outside. So sometimes I'll go and do walks to give me some vitamin D and just a little touch some grass, literally, or something like that. I
Yeah.
garden. My
Okay.
gardening, it brings me peace. I haven't even been gardening a whole year. It'll be a year going in the fall, but it is definitely therapeutic for me. And
Right.
I'm still getting it together to make it the little sanctuary that I want it to be. Have my egg chair. I'm about to get my rocks and all of that and get it all situated so I can go out there and chill out, relax, feel a breeze, meditate, whatever.
Hmm.
Um, I get massages. Haven't been on it as much, but I get massages. I do Pilates. I do deep stretch sessions. I actually did one today. Well,
Nice.
I'll actually get a deep stretch done and stuff like that. So I stay active. That's one of the ways that
Okay.
I take care of my self-care, is to stay active and to do the things that produces the happy chemicals on purpose. So that's
Awesome.
pretty much. And then, hanging with the friends, connecting with people that are pouring into you and you're pouring into them. I try not to be connected to people that drain me, and I had to learn that too. So that would be ideally my regiment. That and YouTube. I love me some YouTube. I'm like
Okay.
kids. That's all I watch is YouTube.
That's it
So
for me. I feel you. Definitely. Well, that is awesome. And that is important. And I can tell you, I have learned taking that time is essential, it's necessary, it is important. My schedule has changed. I got a new position. I'm like, Lord, how am I going to add this? It's doable. I'm just trying to figure out all the kinks so I can make it work and have time for myself. Because there was a time in my life where I would have just been go, 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 go. Oh, Sunday, I ain't doing that. Sunday, let me do this here. I have since learned, no, ma'am, it ain't about to do that. No, how can I make certain my practice is taken care of? How can I make certain that my associates and my interns are taken care of? And then as a field supervisor, everybody there, and have time for Larnica. That
mm-hmm.
that is a must. So yes, indeed. Well, this has been awesome. And I really appreciate you taking time with us today. How can people find you? How can people, if they want your service, if they want to learn more about you or follow you, how can they find you?
Okay. So Facebook, we have 3 pages. On my personal was really is a public page. It's it's almost like the personal business page, but it's the personal page. It's TR space Eve.
Okay.
And I give that one out now because I do a lot of videos and things on that page. A lot of mental wellness videos. So you follow, you'll stay in the loop. You can subscribe to get other extra things because sometimes people the attention span it's
Yeah,
shorter than they used to say a minute 8 but per year. It's worse than that.
it
So
is.
sometimes I go deeper, and some of my people be wanting me to go deeper on certain topics, so that's what the subscription is for, so I can drop the longer form. But
Okay.
I do still put things like we're doing an affirmation series right now, an affirmation a day early in the
Mhm.
day, where you can just kind of take it and go about your business with it, right? But we
Okay.
also have the Rose Center. So if you do at the Rose Center BMT, you'll find the business page for the actual practice.
Mhm.
And so I put things there. You can also see some of the services that I provide. I have the flyer there and all of that information. If you search at Pop Psych 2022 or simply the Pop Psych Foundation, POPPSYCH, you'll find our Pop Psych Foundation Facebook page, where we post about the events that we have, like the wellness fair that's coming up. We have a big announcement coming up that you and I was touching bases on,
Yes.
that will be dropping soon. So to stay in the loop about all things Pop Psych, you can
Mhm.
follow that page. And I have a TikTok called the Unicorn Therapist, because that's
Okay.
I'm typically, this has very, I see the pink and it's got a little pink and purple in here right now, but I tend to be colorful. I express myself. I am myself. You know what I'm saying? So my hair changes colors. It's gonna be a different color tomorrow. So
All
it's the
right.
Unicorn Therapist.
Uh-huh.
And so, but if you want to just straight standard, you can go to the website, which is the Rose Center. That's TheRosecenter dash BMT for a moment, right? .com. So the Rose Center BMT.com. There is a contact the therapist form that you can complete, where you can provide the information that would be needed to do your pre-verification for your insurance and all of that. But you can also just inbox me there and ask any questions that you might have on any of those platforms. So yeah.
Awesome. Awesome. You are everywhere and we do appreciate it. So, again, Trina, thank you so much for taking time out of your schedule. Thank you to everyone who has joined us on YouTube, LinkedIn, Facebook, and TikTok. And if you are just joining us, you can always catch the replay on YouTube at Larnica L. All right, so this has been an amazing, amazing interview. And like I said, this will be the last one for season 1. That self-care is for real. It's like, you know what? Yeah, I think I'm gonna do this. Take a little hiatus and
All
we shall
right.
return. And so just keep looking at the socials. I'll let you know when we'll be back. But again, thank you so much. And y'all have a good night.
Bye, guys.